You don't have to be at the bottom of the barrel to actually have change or grow in your life. You don't actually have to be at the bottom, at the pits, to be able to grow and evolve as a human. So majority of us, and I'm generalizing here, have been at the bottom of a situation or a barrel in our life, and so we know what that feels like. Personally, when I was at the bottom of the barrel, I made and declared to myself that I never want to be back here ever again. And in that declaration that I made to myself, I needed to then invest in myself to have the foundations and tools to not go back down that hole. A couple of people that reached out, they said that they keep getting caught at the bottom of the barrel, and then that's how they grow. I'll talk into that, and then I'm going to talk you into an analogy about the garden. And so when we get caught in these loops and these cycles and we keep revisiting the same thing, usually the universe has a beautiful way that every time we learn the lesson, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and louder and louder and louder and more pain and pain and pain until we actually go and wake up to it. But it doesn't need to have that massive bottom of the barrel, full pain and like crippling until we actually have change and growth. Something to take note of is that when we're at the bottom of the barrel, at the pits, when we start to dig ourselves out of that, it feels good. And we also get attention from other people. And so some attention can be negative attention as well. And so there may be a lot of drama that comes with being at the bottom of the barrel. And I just want to paint the picture and ask and pose a question, and this is where you need to be really deeply honest with yourself, is that are you addicted to that kind of drama? Are you addicted to the attention that happens when you're at the bottom of the barrel? Is there mindsets going on that I have to be at the bottom of the barrel to be able to grow, to learn? Is there mindset stuff saying that I don't deserve to be abundant and flourishing because of stuff I've done in my past? And so there's this guilt and shame that we're maybe carrying that keeps putting us in these perpetual cycles to get at the bottom of the barrel. Now, let's look at an example of the garden. Like a beautiful garden does not wait until all the weeds are overgrown for you to actually maintain that. And so your life is exactly like a garden. If we keep regular maintenance on the garden, we're always going to keep blossoming. Also, with a garden needs the right environment and the soils for the plants to grow. And so the environment that we surround ourselves in, if we keep getting caught in these loops in the bottoms of the barrel, the question is, what soil are you surrounding yourself in? What's your external environment like? Have you changed any of the situation in the garden bed? Is there people in your life that you haven't cut out? Are you still in the same job or relationship or financial struggle? Has anything changed? Because if it hasn't, you need to look at the garden and the external environment. If you look at gardens too, some plants can't be next to each other. Like you look at my herb garden right here. The mint, I had to have separate in a pot by itself because the mint root system will take over the whole herb garden. I love mint. We use a lot of it, but I needed to remove that and put it in another environment. So you can still have people in your life, but is there parameters and boundaries that maybe you need to set? A beautiful example of this is a man stepped into the MindFit gym, the group program that I have coming up, and I asked him, what was your purpose? What's your intention of stepping in here? And he's like, man, I'm in a really good spot right now. I have a beautiful wife, I have a couple of kids, I have a job that I love. Though during COVID and that pandemic, I noticed that I was stressing a lot and I had a lot of overwhelm. And so I just want to be prepared. I want to be prepared. So this is learning about new fertilizers. This is about how to blossom and flourish the garden so that it can grow even brighter and grander. So this man is not at the bottom of the barrel, but he learned through experiences that there may be an opportunity for him to grow. And so that is why he's stepping into the program, is to sharpen his axe. And so if you're in life right now and it feels mediocre. If you're in life and it's like, man, it feels like I'm going through the motions, like that isn't at the bottom of the barrel. That is just knowing that, man, I know it can be like this. That is an opportunity to lean in and like look for growth and expansion in your being. However that is for you, of like, if it is it your purpose that would like to amplify your relationship, your finances, but you don't have to be with no money in the bank to work on your finances. You don't have to be in a relationship and going through a divorce or separation before you actually look at the relationship and nurture it and amplify it. You don't need to be like full depressed in a job that you hate before you want change and maybe a different career or following your purpose. But there's a knowing that we don't have to stay at this level, and that through life experiences that if we're not able to be with a situation, that situation is going to continue to play out until we learn that lesson. We always have been striving to evolve. Especially with men, we enjoy a healthy challenge and we rise to that occasion. And because of that rising to that occasion, that's the same underdog sort of mentality that we can get caught in when we go to the bottom of the barrel and then the underdog comes back, because there's a lot of pats on the back for the underdog, especially here in Australia. We've got that underdog mentality. Just be vigilant of like the stories and the environment that you were born into. And so here in Australia, things like the Aussie battler. So that was a phrase that came after the recession that Aussies were just battling their way through financially, with their emotions. And so that was definitely relevant for myself. It's how I grew up. I grew up in housing commission. And so growing up as that Aussie battler, that was the mentality that I had of like battling. I was always battling. That's where I came from. I needed to shift the mindset and like not put a label or identity in myself, and started to flourish. But then also I started to be wanting to flourish so that I wasn't an Aussie battler anymore. And so that life and my past actually had my power. And so I was doing all of this success as a man, in business, in my work, in my relationships, as a father, for an external validation from that bottom of the barrel or Aussie battler. And so that journey was going to be very, very hollow for me, very hollow. But now coming from a place of like me, who I am, my inner game, and coming from my internal dialogue, coming from that in the external world, has been a huge game changer. And I know that's going to be very relevant for a lot of people, especially people that have parents that are very wealthy or successful, or brothers or sisters that are very successful, and we try and outdo each other. In men's work, you may see another coach or a men's movement doing really well, and you start to compare yourself to the other people. Those other people then have your power. And so then it's coming back into here and like you wanting to excel and grow and achieve for you. Just want to paint another little picture with that then, is that now, that's why I was saying about the bottom of the barrel also has an emotion. There's an emotion that happens at the bottom of the barrel. And so the feeling of like the underdog, the attention, all of that kind of stuff is where we got to ask yourself, or where you, we need to ask ourselves, what is the feeling that we're desiring by going back down that hole? Why are we allowing ourselves, because we can see ourselves starting to slip. So why don't we stop it right then when we start to see the slip? Like, why do we need it to spiral all the way down before we have change or growth? And that's a question that you need to answer for yourself. And it's a hard truth, but that hard truth, remember, big questions get big answers. Big questions get big answers.